we're here for episode 97 of the podcast, the Distracted Gamers podcast. I feel annoyed and tired right now, and one will win. Probably tired.
You'll pass out halfway through and I'll have to carry the show?
Yeah.
You can't do that. I'll have to shake you awake every 5 seconds, right?
I don't think you could solo.
I don't think I could.
I could probably pull it off, just nonsense conversation for an hour.
Well, you've done it where I've had to stop and then get back on, and you just can't, talk I was still there.
I held the show for something like 20 minutes solo once. Nobody knew. Well, I'd mention it later, but I could pull it off. I think I'd just talk like nobody would listen, just like they don't listen now. But that being said, we'll put in our jingle here and then do some stuff. All right, we are here and back for the Distracted Gamers podcast. How are we doing, Jason?
Well, let's see. This week, I actually played Destiny quite a bit.
Yeah, how'd you like it?
As a shooter, it's okay. Nothing spectacular. I do like that they give you kind of speeder bikes.
Yeah, apparently they summon really quickly.
Oh yeah, they're like that. They just drop. They're actually pretty fun to drive around. The aliens are lackluster. It's just like I've seen them everywhere else.
It's
so
like
far.
Just a generic alien.
Well, they have so far. I've only ran into 2 of the 4 races. There's the Fallen, the Hive, and then there's 2 more, and I can't remember what they are. The Fallen are insectoids, and so you'll see they have multiple arms and stuff. The Hive are like zombies. Especially the low level ones, they just Zerg rush you, and you just have to blow them away as they're coming.
Does it play and feel like an MMO?
In certain ways it does.
Because everybody acted like it was MMO, and they constantly came out and were like, "This isn't an MMO," despite the fact that they was like, "Oh, there's these raids and stuff you can go to."
Well, so I was playing, and there's this part where you can pick up bounties from the bounty board, and it's just ways to get more experience points, and it'll tell you things like kill 100 enemies without dying, or pick up these many objects from this many enemies, and things like that. So you go down and you have to patrol the area, and it's separate from the rest of the game. And somehow connected to it. It's like the staging area where you drop in.
I think part of it was because it played so close to an MMO and people treated it like it was one, that then they started to get pissed off because they weren't getting regular content updates or anything.
Well, right. Well, what they do is you go into this staging area before you get to your level, where you're going to be playing, completing story quests, and you see other people running around. Now, I don't have Xbox Gold, but there are other players running around in this area. I can see them, I can interact with them, even. They have public events every once in a while, and they'll drop, a big walker dropped in one time. I got completely pasted by the stupid thing, because I'm low level at this point. But as soon as it dropped in, a bunch of people hurried over from, to intercept it and take it out. One thing that really, like I said, I haven't been way impressed by Destiny. It feels like a normal RPG shooter kind of combo. You level up and you spend your
you know where all the hype came from for that game?
It's Bungie.
No.
Really?
The multiplayer.
Yeah.
Apparently it's really good, and that's what everybody played. But if you could give a flying fart about the multiplayer, then...
maybe. But one thing that really did impress me, it's a beautiful game.
Yeah, really good looking.
It's really good looking.
Even on the 360
at the moment. Oh yeah, it looks really good. I started watching the Daredevil series.
How do you like it? Impressive, isn't it?
They have done a lot of work on it.
And very accurate with the comic books and stuff.
I've been impressed with the actors, and the writing has been spot on. I did like some of the things in the early episodes, like he says something like, I don't kill people. And the guy says, but that guy's in a coma. You put that guy in a coma. He's like, he lived.
Yeah. That's very much a Daredevil thing.
And Vincent D'Onofrio has been really impressive as Kingpin. Really impressive.
Great actor.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently, he's really impressive when it comes to a lot of other actors' opinions of him.
Hmm.
But as Kingpin, he pulls off this weird sort of awkward, creepy feel.
Yeah. And at the same time...
And I didn't overblow it. He was really well done. Like, he's one thing and another at the same time.
Oh, he, like, switches roles depending on what he needs to be. You know, with the girl, he's awkward and shy and stuff.
Well, that explains the sort of awkward charm he has when he's around normal people. Because the awkwardness is not the, I'm socially awkward. It's the holding back.
Yeah. I could kill you with my bare hands, and I'm not going to.
Yeah.
But you don't realize that. I'm just awkward. It's this awkward thing. Anyway, I also finished The Crow, Stairway to Heaven.
How'd you like that? You've been in a crow kick lately?
Yeah, I've been in a crow kick. The thing is that they got it completely wrong. Completely wrong. The Crow is about vengeance, and not about man's justice, and that's what they kind of turned it into. So the Crow goes in, and he's gonna kill all these people, and then he stops himself, and he's like, no, I'm gonna turn him over to the police. I'm like, that's not how the Crow works.
Yeah, that's... The only reason why the Crow shows up is so you can get vengeance.
Yeah.
Like dark, dirty vengeance on the people who did you wrong.
And what they did was, they did it on Eric Draven, and he's the one that Brandon Lee, the role that Brandon Lee died in. And one of the things that really bugged me about it was that basically he takes care of everything that he did in the movie in the first episode. And then they had to, invent a reason why he had to stick around afterwards. They're like, oh, well, you have to accrue so many good points before we can allow you back into heaven. I'm like, no. You send him back to take care of the people who murdered him. He does that in the first episode. What's the holdup?
There's no sequence of getting back into heaven. There's no... He's here to avenge himself, and then he dies.
What they should have done is they should have either made the story expand across the whole series. So at the final episode, that's when he's facing down Top Dollar, the guy who ordered his death or whatever. Or, and this is something that they could have done, they should have done a different Crow. And about partway through the series, they actually introduce a different Crow, but she's just a one-off character kind of thing. She shows up one more episode, but what they should have done is they should have said, this is what happened to Eric Draven, blah, 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 and then introduced a new Crow. Completely, in the first episode.
Right. And
make it a girl. They did it, for this, or whatever. Well, she, kills one of the guys that, she was taking vengeance on, and it makes her squeamish. And then you can get away with, she's not going to kill people because she's a different Crow. But the way they did it is, I know the way the show worked, the way the movie worked, he was there to kill these guys. And now you're saying he's not killing them? You missed the point here. So, anyway.
Yeah. Let's see. I played a bunch of Bloodborne. I'm actually nearing the end. I have one optional boss to beat and the last level to do. I've only done one of the Chalice dungeons, and there's a ridiculous amount of stuff you can do in the Chalice dungeons. I've only done one, and there's a lot of stuff you can do. I'm just really focusing on beating the game first, and then I'll do a bunch of extra superfluous stuff. Game's hard, but I've been slowly slogging through it a little bit at a time. Let's see. Me and Lindsay have been watching some Daredevil. She's not very far into it. A new episode of Gotham came out this last Monday, and they're finally finishing this off. They had this big, few-week break. I don't know, other than that, just a lot of normal personal stuff, but just the crap that you do every week, and, depression about life and all of that. Life depression, the only depression.
Yeah, Lindsay's here, but she's decided to check out.
She's probably awake and can hear this, though. Apparently there's this
Squirrel Girl
beating everybody at a convention. Because she's Squirrel Girl.
Squirrel Girl sucks.
I hate Squirrel Girl. Who beat Thanos? We have an email from Chance.
Yep.
We will listen to him, and we'll talk about a lot of it. There have been a lot of new trailers to come out, so we can talk about those. We'll jingle here.
And now it's time for the Distracted Gamers Podcast listener emails, where Dr. Jason will paraphrase, eviscerate, and with surgical precision, remove all salient points from your feedback, leaving you sounding like a barely literate baboon.
Yeah.
Now you can go.
Well, I was going to say, he sums up his email for me again. But then
he's trying to fight you because you destroy his email so much. He's like, I don't even want to bother now.
Well, what does he expect me to do? I can't read it word for word.
I used to.
I know, but then we had no time to do anything else.
It was still funny.
I can tell you that he says, Rhett deserves a marginally tolerable week at best after he peed all over my Facebook Battlefront excitement. If Rhett excels at nothing else, he is the undisputed king of joy extraction.
First of all, I love the original Battlefront, but when compared to like Battlefield and stuff, controls were a bit wonky and it wasn't the greatest of games. I love Star Wars. I've loved it for a long time, but I sort of got burned out by the prequels.
Yeah. No.
The Battlefront 2 trailer comes out. Looks cool, there's some cool moments, but it's like cool moments you've seen 100 times before. AT-AT walking around, get shot by some Y-Wings or something.
We've kind of seen that before.
Guy on a speeder speeding through the forest. It's like things you've seen before, nothing exciting or new. Yeah, it's, it's Boba Fett shooting flames or something. It's like, oh, yay, woo. And Chance showed out, he's like, oh, this is awesome. I was like, dude, first of all, it's just a CG trailer. That's the thing, it wasn't gameplay.
Oh, it was just the
trailer. It was a CG trailer. I was
so we don't even know if it's going to be impressive or not.
Yeah, we don't know what it looks like, how the play is going to be,
this is like cutscene
the interface.
Stuff.
Yeah, it's just a CG trailer of like cool crap happening in Star Wars. This could have nothing to do with Battlefront 2. Nothing. It could just be a CG trailer for a CG, like, fan movie or something.
Right.
It's just, I mean, the CG looked cool, but I stopped getting excited about CG, like, when I was in high school.
Well, the thing is I guess we can get excited that there's a new Battlefront game coming out, but at the same time, it's
but I've been excited about that since they announced it, not because of the CG trailer.
We could get more excited if they actually showed us what it was going to be like. Man, those fatalities from
Have you
Mortal
looked at
Kombat.
many of them?
I watched that video.
They're terrible.
They're terrible. They are awful.
The most violent, Lindsay likes them, but the most violent fatalities I've ever seen.
Oh, Battletoads Double Dragon. I remember playing that.
But yeah, I'm sorry I stepped on your CG parade, but it didn't show any gameplay, so what do you want from me, Chance? It's just a CG trailer.
Well, his new offspring, the spawn of Chance, will be born on November 19th, around that time period.
Sweet.
So, yeah, he's got something to go with. It was kind of funny the way he says this. He saw the ultrasound and the heartbeat, and he says, well, all of a sudden the room was filled with freshly cut onions. Oh, boy. So, the new Battlefront game is due to be released 2 days prior to that. So even if I do get it, I probably won't be playing it for a while.
Dude, you have a full 2 days of playing. You get your time in.
Well,
then it's just going to be late nights and watching kids.
Well, for the first child, a lot of times the first child comes late, so you might actually have some time there, Chance.
This is, well, for her, it's, yeah, her first child.
Yeah. So, you know, my first child didn't come late, but she was a C-section, so she was scheduled. Anyway. Our second one did. She was late, though. Anyway,
nobody cares about children.
I'd ask what Rhett has been playing other than Kill the Joy.
This is what I do.
But I'm certain it answers with the answer will rhyme with Bloodborne.
Did you expect me to be any other person? Here's a good example of a stupid conversation. That this is what I'm like, which is always confuses me why somebody like Lindsay dates me. So she sent me a text message with a link to a YouTube video of this Hawaiian guy playing "It's a Beautiful World," "It's a Wonderful World" or whatever.
Yeah,
that Hawaiian dude.
Okay.
I don't know, like a positive message with a link or whatever. What's the first thing I send in response?
Dying puppy?
No.
Oh.
You know he's dead, right? What she said in response is, yeah. And then I said, I think it was obesity. And then it completely ruined the positive message she was possibly trying to send.
Oh, boy.
If you thought I was going to act any differently than I normally do, Chance, and you do not know me as well as you think you do.
Well, evidently he's gotten kind of fed up with Bloodborne because all the podcasts that he listens to have been talking about it, too.
Well, I don't need to talk about it constantly.
Right.
First of all, I thought we were your only podcast, so you're cheating on us. Second of all, I talked more about... It
should make you feel dirty, man.
Yeah, I talked about it, but I talked a lot about Dark Souls.
Yeah, that too.
Just so that I could get you apprised because of your personal interest, because we are a personal care podcast. Third of all, I'm playing. That's what I'm doing. I could not talk about what I'm doing lately.
That's true.
What
haven't you been doing lately?
Being successful, having a job, having money, being positive.
There you go. He hasn't gotten any gaming in this week. I guess his wife's been home, and so she's the snuggle hound. But he has also been watching the Daredevil show.
Okay, well, let's see what he has to say.
He's got 4 episodes left, which he's planning on watching tonight. He says, I'm starting to think that I'm not going to see the red outfit till the very end.
You won't.
At this point. And it seems that that's the way they're going with it. They're like, he doesn't really know his identity yet, and that makes it a good story at this point. Watching this, I've actually drawn a lot of parallels between this and like Batman Year One kind of stuff, where Batman's kind of still I shouldn't say Batman Year One. I should say Batman Mask of the Phantasm, where he starts out and he's like comes upon these thugs and he's just dressed in black and he has a mask on,
this might actually be influenced by that, despite the fact that a lot of the Daredevil was darker way before Batman was.
Yeah.
Daredevil had this weird dark thing going on for quite some time. But the Daredevil sort of early stuff that we see coming out of this series came from the Marvel Knights series. And also the look and stuff is from some other Daredevil stuff that probably came after the Batman Year One stuff. So it's very possibly that Daredevil stuff was influenced by Batman.
Yeah, probably. I wouldn't put it past him. That show is so freaking good. We agree.
100%. I'm super happy you're into this because you heard me talking about it, and I did not spoil as much as I could.
Oh no!
But there's like end episode 5, end episode 6, where everything goes nuts, and you're like, oh my gosh, they super went for it.
He said he liked the Ben Affleck's portrayal of Daredevil.
It was passable. It wasn't fantastic. Anything.
Ben Affleck, Ben Affleck is actually a decent actor.
When he wants to be.
Yeah.
But only when he's playing a smart-mouthed guy from Jersey, because he was a smart-mouthed guy from Jersey. I've seen a lot of stuff where he was terrible.
You're right. Have you seen Sum of All Fears?
Yes.
I actually liked that one.
It's a good movie. He's okay.
He's okay. But it's that thing, he can be a good actor. I thought it's one of those things where I thought he was okay, but the story was wrong, and the casting choices and some of the other stuff was wrong. And anyway,
their movies, he was just the worst in.
Yeah.
There was a Shakespeare movie that he was in where he was just terrible.
So he liked Ben Affleck's portrayal of Daredevil. He thought that it didn't have the best script, but it was solid.
To be fair, I was defending that Daredevil movie when no one liked it. Why? Because I see it through fan eyes, and I love the crap out of Daredevil. This is a problem.
So he said, Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin is definitely nuanced, and he often comes really close to making me root for him a little.
Yeah, and that's why he's
sympathy
so
for the
good.
devil.
That's why he's so good.
Oh, yeah.
If you watch his hands when he does stuff, because he has this weird sort of like fidgety hand thing he does.
He's always rubbing his cuff link.
Well, not just the cufflink, but when he's standing with his hands to his side, he actually sort of does this sort of thing. Like he's a little... You can't clearly see that in the podcast, but it's like he's a little fidgety.
Yeah.
Even though it's almost like this weird sort of quiet intensity, and he's fidgety, like he just wants to strangle you rather than talk it out.
Right. And that's, to me, what makes Kingpin such a menace, is that he will snap, and he will destroy you.
And still, the darkest episode I've ever seen in television history, bar none.
But the whole time, he's trying to hold it back and trying to rein it in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's in the comics, some of the most compelling parts that Kingpin has been in, I think, are when, like, he's fighting with Spider-Man, and Spider-Man just is being his usual self, and Kingpin just breaks. And just, like, raw, goes after Spider-Man. Not that it does any good, because Spider-Man is way stronger and kicks his butt, but still. Anyway, you know what else was so freaking good? The new Star Wars trailer. And
good.
Yes, I can't wait to see it when it comes out. I feel when I was watching the trailer, he says, I immediately turned back into a 6-year-old Star Wars loving boy and had the biggest crap-eating grin spread across my face. Me, I could feel my heart beating faster watching the trailer. Or just get, the adrenaline started coming in because I was like, yes, this is...
It brings about a little bit of that original excitement.
Oh, yeah, it does.
Where it's like, oh, man, it's the old stuff. Because I remember getting that feeling when you start to see Episode 1 start to come in. And that it's like, oh, my gosh, it's another Star Wars movie. And then you see it, and you're really excited to have really cool lightsaber fights. But more and more time went by, and you're like, it wasn't good. It just wasn't good. And it's you're getting that same childlike feeling again. It's like when you heard Han Solo's voice.
Oh yeah.
You finally see Han Solo for the first time in decades, and he's standing there, and you're like, holy crap!
It's Han Solo. This is awesome.
Yeah. He looks like an old fart, but he's Han Solo.
And then Dawn of Justice is the next trailer.
It should have been made a long time ago, by the way. Because all these characters are going to be way too old in this movie.
Which is why they're bringing in these younger characters and stuff. They have to anyway. Otherwise, it's geriatric Star Wars. He talk about a royal tease. This is what he's saying about the Dawn of Justice trailer, and you're right. The visuals were awesome. I thought very well done. Not so much. I didn't really like the Mad Batman cowl.
Yeah, but, the weirdest thing is they're taking a Batman line that's legendarily good. The Dark Knight Returns.
The bleed part.
Just the Dark Knight Returns comic book.
That was awesome.
And they're trying to recreate that character, but it's in sort of a different time with the new Superman. And he's got this weird sort of I'm Dark Batman. And I was like, but you don't even know each other. And the reason why that comic worked so well is because they were friends when they fought. They've never met each other, and they're already trying to tear down the characters. And it's just, I don't care for the idea of the story. I don't care for it. This seems pushed because of the success of the Avengers, and I'll say it every time. They're basically just trying to cash in on that whole thing.
Yeah. We both were impressed by the trailer. It looks visually good. it's the story problems that we anticipate. It just seems they're going in the wrong direction with this one.
Well, it's like, was it The Man of Steel?
Uh-huh.
Really wanted to love the movie. Looked great, visually impressive. Executive producer was Christopher Nolan, who did the previous Batman movies, and he blew people away.
Yeah, he did.
And then you go and see it, and it's like, it keeps getting close to being really good, and then it just craps the bed. And it's like, dude, just get up and make sure you don't do that in the middle of the bed. But for some reason, it just craps the bed some of the dumbest things they do in that movie, spoilers, but there's a scene where he knows he's Superman. Well, he knows he can do these things, and he's in a high school. His dad knows he can do these things. And his farm dad, Pa Kent, literally tells him, don't save people. You need to let them do it on your own, because if they find out what you can do, they're all going to be afraid of you.
Mm-hmm. That's not the sense I got from the Kents. You know what I mean?
No, that wasn't the Kents. That's the stupid part. Pa Kent's like, no, just let them die. He as a kid saved a bunch of children on a bus, and then he chews out Clark for it. I was like, what? And Clark's played by Kevin Costner of all things. And Clark's sitting there. He's like, well, what am I supposed to do? Let them die? And he goes, maybe. And I'm like, this is not the. Superman gets the sense of righteousness and
from his
doing
parents.
Good from his Earth parents.
Right.
And the reason why Superman's such a good person is because of who raised him.
Right. They raised him to do the right thing.
Literally, Pa Kent dies because he doesn't want Clark to use his powers to save him. I kid you not, he dies in a tornado. And he's like, and he's standing there as the tornado's whipping in, and he turns back at Clark, and he sort of holds out his hand like, no, just let me die. It's good. Cool.
Oh my gosh.
And then his biological parents, he gets these little messages of like, because there's this joke somebody did online, of you need to use your powers as an example to the rest of the world, the whole sort of original Superman thing. And somebody made a joke of, when he had the big fight with, what's his bucket? Zod. In the city, and there's so much destruction and people dying and stuff. And they're like, and Superman finds a way to obey both parents, show off his powers and be an example, and let people die. And I'm like, wow, you're right. He did do the right thing. And then at the end, spoilers, he kills Zod. So it's like, this is not the Superman I grew up with.
Yeah.
Superman doesn't kill people. And a smart Superman wouldn't have a duke-out fight in the middle of the city while everybody dies.
No,
he'd have just flown out to the desert, and Zod would have followed him, and then they would have had a punch-out fight there.
Yeah.
They'd have flown to the moon. And they're just like, okay, let's start punching each other. They wouldn't have done it in the city.
Well, Superman wouldn't have done it. Zod would have.
No, but Superman would have led them out. That's what he always does, is get to safety so there's less people.
Yep. So, Chance, there are... Anyway.
Any more to say about Daredevil?
No, he just... That was it.
Just as really good?
He goes back to the Ben Affleck, and then he comes back and he says that everything the movie got wrong, the show is getting right, and then some, especially the casting of the Kingpin.
100%.
Yeah. So.
And it's not that I don't like Michael Clark Duncan. I actually love him as an actor.
Oh, he's really good.
God rest his soul. Yeah. But he was not a good choice for Kingpin. The only reason why he was a good choice is he was a big, bald man.
Yeah.
He was just big and bald, and he pulled off the physical look. He did not pull off who Kingpin is.
No.
He was just like, I'm a black gangster Kingpin.
With the white suit.
Yeah, with this cane or whatever, and he's like, oh, I'm a gangster Kingpin. I was like, Kingpin was not a gangster.
Not in that sense, anyway. But yeah. Organized crime sense, sure. So, he says, at the risk of having my nerd card seized, he's not really looking forward to the Age of Ultron.
You know what? Neither am I.
Really?
Neither is Lindsay. Huh. It's like the more like I liked the Avengers movie a lot.
Right.
I thought it was really fun. but the more time distance between it, the more plot holes I find, and the more bad writing I see. And it's not that it wasn't a good movie; it just wasn't great in any sense. And Age of Ultron is coming, and I just feel burnt out by the Marvel stuff, and I don't feel any hype for it. There's a very good chance I'll see it and I'll really like it, but me and her have these free gift certificates for going to a movie or whatever we got for like Christmas. We've been holding on to it till a good movie comes out. And she's like, well, maybe we should get the tickets for it. I'm just like, I just don't feel any hype to see this movie. I don't feel the excitement. It's like, Age of Ultron.
I want to see Age of Ultron.
So do I.
But
if you've only got so much money, is that the one you see?
I don't want to go see it on opening night.
You know, if I only had one movie I could afford to see, what movie do I see?
Star Wars.
No. Of the new movies coming out recently, not like Christmas from now. Of the new movies coming out in the next little while, what one movie do you see?
I have no idea because
my answer is Mad Max.
Oh,
if I were to sit down and pick, I'd be like Mad Max, definitely. I was like, I'm super hyped for Mad Max. I'm really excited for that movie. Age of Ultron, take it or leave it. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, Ant-Man looks like it could be all right.
Could be fun.
But more, I don't know how well they're going to pull off a superhero movie with this. Because as much as they sold it fairly well in the new trailer that came out, it's like,
I'm not really that interested in it.
I'm not an Ant-Man fan.
No.
Maybe if he turns into Giant Man at the end or something like that.
It's kind of funny. He gives, for him, it's mostly Ultron. He says that, I've never found anything compelling about him as a character, and so for that reason, Age of Ultron is a flick that can wait for DVD as far as I'm concerned. And then he has a list of the characters that according to him are like, should be thrown away. And you got Swamp Thing, Man Thing, Gorilla Grodd, Carnage, Dazzler, Jubilee, and Ultron.
Dazzler and Jubilee are basically the same character.
Yeah.
Dazzler, I would argue, is more interesting to Jubilee. Carnage, yeah, because they don't really do enough with him. And he's basically Venom, but crazier.
But crazy.
And
they could do a really good movie, I think, with Carnage. But they'd have to establish Venom first and get people to like him.
And do a good enough job before that.
Yeah.
Carnage.
Other than that,
Carnage is a give or take, because since his first showing up, he was really awesome.
Yeah.
Every time he shows up after that, it's just sort of like, eh.
Yeah. It's like, can we get rid of him already?
Well, they can't really do as good as they did the Maximum Carnage thing.
Right.
Where he goes nuts and the city just goes crazy and starts killing itself.
Right.
It's like, what do you do when a serial killer gets
superpowers?
Well, no, gets literally the symbiote suit that makes you more aggressive and angry and pissed off and super powerful. It's like the worst case scenario.
Right.
It's like if somebody it's like if Charles Manson suddenly got like Superman's powers.
That would be so awful.
It's like well, we now have a reigning Nazi Messiah overlord who can basically make us do anything he wants to.
Exactly.
He hears us all the time. Literally, the voices in his head will be legit voices.
They would be us.
Yeah.
So yeah, the thing is that, he says, he's finding, where did it go? He's so much more hyped for this movie than Age of Ultron, meaning the Batman versus Superman.
I'm not even a little bit.
And the thing
I'm more hyped for Age of Ultron than I am Batman versus Superman.
The thing is that we both see, the reason that it worked so well in the comic book, Dark Knight Returns, is that Superman was so holding back. He didn't want to hurt Bruce because they were friends, and that's not what's going on here. There's no reason for Superman to hold back and to let Batman win. None.
I told you this before. Why would they tear these characters down before they even have any connection to one another?
Exactly. It makes no sense.
And so I predict we all know 100% what the story's going to be about. Not a lot of people are going to trust Superman, Neither does Batman. Batman's worried about Superman because you have this superpowered person and he can't control him. Which is BS, because Batman simply being like, well, there's a super powerful guy, it's like, well, we need to do something about him. That's like the weird sort of like, well, they might do something, so let's take care of it. Well, see, not that he did do anything.
The thing is that Batman, being such an analytical person, he's going to look at Superman and he's going to try to dig up everything he can find.
No. He'll figure out a way to beat him.
No, what I mean is...
That's what Batman would do.
Yes, he would. He's going to look at Superman.
He wouldn't fight him.
No, he wouldn't.
Which he's going to do.
See, Batman, he analyzes everything. He's going to analyze Superman and he's going to figure out that Superman's actually a good guy.
He doesn't, though. Not in the trailer.
I know,
to the trailer,
but it doesn't make any sense.
Fight way before that happens.
It doesn't make any sense.
And anyway. I guarantee you they're going to bring about the kryptonite thing, because Batman will find it or something like that.
Yeah, he'll figure it out.
But I guarantee you it's going to be nobody trusts Superman. Batman doesn't trust Superman. He decides he's going to step in. It's like, well, you're too powerful. You could be some crapshoot or something. And then they're going to have this big fight, and then they're going to be like, you know, we like each other. Hug, hug. Let's save the world together. That's it.
That's going to be so dumb.
It's going to be the dumbest movie, but that's the only way it's going to happen. Because you know that they're going to fight each other, and you know that they're going to eventually form what becomes the Justice League. So you're going to have this sort of duke it out, and then, let's bro hug, and, you know, almost like a Fight Club scenario.
Right.
You fight each other, but at the end you hug, and you're just sweaty guys.
Yeah. So we got to hurry this up so you can get to the news dump. But he makes a confession at the end of his email here. Well, actually, there's two things. Let's go to the last one. He talks about, first off, that GameStop's going to be doing retro gaming now.
Yep.
It sounds like they're going to be doing it just in like New York for now.
It makes sense though, but yeah.
And he says that in his area, the place that he goes, they get new shipments in like every 6 weeks.
It'll start to peter out.
And the problem is, as you know, he talked to the employee and he said that the problem is that the people who are holding on to that stuff don't want to sell it. And the people that want it can't get it because the people who have it won't sell it. And
well, there's just limited supply.
Yeah. So they're not making any new ones.
Well, there are two.
Feel your pain.
There are two reasons why this is happening. One, and me and Chance have talked about this, but one is games are moving digital, more and more digital.
Right, away from the physical copies.
So for GameStop to stay relevant, they have to
change their business model.
Change the business model and go more retro and go focused physical copies.
Right.
Hence buying PS2s, hence doing a lot of other things. Two, which is the weirder, perhaps more concerning problem, is China's now open to the gaming market, and people are able to sell stuff there. Theoretically, you could have a lot of used stuff just start getting sent over to China, and they will eat it up, and they will suck up every used thing that we possibly have, and all that new money will drive the prices out of the sky. Yeah. Because now these kids over there with the ridiculous amounts of, like, suppressing Chinese people money can get ridiculous amounts of games and have full collections and whatever it is that they want to do, because they could never have those beforehand. So now they're open to this whole new console market and experience games that they never got to experience before.
Yeah. So the last thing is that he needs to make a confession, and you know, we're here for you, Chance.
I'm not your priest, by the way.
Right, but we'll absolve you anyway.
I will not.
He says he's become a game hoarder.
He knew this beforehand. We talked about this because he realized when he was looking around, he's like, I don't need 4 Super Nintendos. Which is why he, like, sent me one of them. He's like, I don't need how many copies he's like, I've got hundreds of games and stuff. And I was
he says he has a backlog of 60+ titles.
Look, if he has doubles that I don't have, he's welcome to send them. He doesn't have to buy me anything. But eventually, at some point, you should consider refurbishing and reselling, because the market's moving up anyway.
Yeah, you might be able to get
you can bank out on some of the extra stuff that you have.
Yeah, this is why The wife said to me the other day with a wide-eyed stare, "Oh my God, you're a hoarder." I just can't pass up a good deal on a great game. I need help.
He does need help a little bit. He told me the other day he got the original Battlefront for $2. And I was like, that's a good deal.
He does ask if we collect anything. The only thing I can say is I collect books.
Well, I collect books. I don't collect in the sense of I want lots of a certain thing. I have some, like, close to full sets of some of the original, like, superhero cards that they used to sell from Marvel and whatnot. Like a close to full set, but that's like, it fits into, like, one box. Binder, but it doesn't even fill the binder. It's like half the binder. I have a bunch of, like, Star Wars customizable card game cards. I still have
Dragon Ball Z cards.
Yeah, the Dragon Ball Z cards. I have so much more Star Wars cards. And they don't print them anymore. Nobody's going to buy them, even if they do, because nobody's played that game for like 15 years. Mm-hmm. I still have a bunch of them. I like the game. I have to convince people to play it with me, but I like the game. I have a bunch of Disc Wars stuff, but it's not like I'm collecting it so that I can have like one of everything, or trying to get everything. I have a bunch of movies, but I'm not collecting them, so to speak. Yeah. I have a bunch of video games, but I'm not collecting them.
See, that's the thing. I will collect certain authors. Like, I have all the Discworld series, barring the latest one. And I have Simon Green is a favorite of mine. I have his Nightside series and his Secret History series that I really enjoy. But, you know, and I go down to the thrift store, the Deseret Industries, and I'll peruse their used books, and I'll buy some. So I've got a backlog of books I haven't read yet.
I have loads of books. I've got loads of comics. I don't collect them, though. I buy them for the stories and whatnot.
Well, that's the thing. If let's say I pick up a book at the thrift store, and I'm reading it, and I decide I don't like it, I don't keep it.
Yeah, if I don't like something, I get rid of it.
So I can't really... Of the things that I collect, that's the only thing I can say I actually collect is books.
Yeah. I mean, I've got some role-playing games, books for role-playing games.
I got some of those.
But I didn't get them to collect them. I got them so I could play them. Yeah. So I can't say I specifically collect anything. The closest thing I could say that might be a collection...
I don't know if my sister does it, but she used to collect shot glasses.
Yeah. The closest thing I could say that might be a collection is I have pennies.
Really?
Yeah, I have some pennies, and they're in like these books and stuff. My sister started me out and got me a bunch of the original stuff, like those pennies made of like nickel or whatever during the war. Steel during the war. Mm-hmm. I have those, the World War II ones. And
yeah, copper became premium during the war because they used it for bullets and stuff. But so they started minting pennies out of steel.
Right. I haven't added any pennies to that in like 10 years, though. I mean, that's literally just as pure as it can be, just a collection for just the penny's sake of the pennies. Just collection. Okay, theoretically, I do have one that I actually will buy more of. Is books on martial arts, and I'll get books on martial arts just various. Every time I'll get a new book that has some more information in it, and I'll just add it to it. But it's not like I have a huge collection. They're like 10, 15 books. Mm-hmm. And then if I see a new cool book, I might add one to it for cheap or something like that. Like, that's the only thing I'm continually adding to, and it's not even like there's such a thing as a complete set. I just get martial arts books because I like to read up on that stuff.
Right. So at the end, he says here he's got to go back to work because he's got to pretend to do something. Otherwise, he'd feel guilty, drawing the paycheck. But he says, "Do not pee on my parade, Rhett." Hashtag, do not pee on my parade, Rhett. And hashtag kill Aunt May. But
you know what, Chance? I extend you a challenge. Get do not pee on my parade, Rhett trending. Online somehow. Just get it trending somehow, and we'll see if we can't get my peeing on your parade thing going.
Sounds good.
Chances online so much for somebody who has a busier life than I do. He is way more internet active than I am. At any rate, we do have the news dump, so let's put in the jingle in here somewhere.
The Distracted Gamer Podcast's big steaming pile of news dump.
Alright, news dump everybody. I'm going to go through as many news stories as we could possibly fit in the last 15 minutes of this podcast. We're just going to throw them at you as quickly as we can. Let's see where we go. Apparently Ray Park would wants a standalone Darth Maul movie. Honestly, I like the Darth Maul character. There wasn't much character to it, but I actually think that could be cool. And I like Ray Park. I actually think he's really awesome. Martial artist, really good at it.
There was a standalone comic series on Darth Maul.
And they were developing a standalone video game that got canceled at some point when LucasArts was sold off or something like that. You can actually find video of it. It looks really good. Apparently there's a car game, video game that's so realistic you permanently die. My Summer Car is a game about chugging beer and tinkering obsessively with a beat-up old sports car. It is, according to its creator, the most realistic car game ever.
Because we often drink while we're driving.
Anyway, which sounds kind of beautiful in its own way, peaceful, zen-like, but then it continues, spiraling out of control and driving off a cliff into a sort of flaming madness. Words can't do it justice. Yes, there is permadeath. In a game about chilling out at home over the summer and working on your car, then again, you can drink heavily, drive in the game, so perhaps it's meant to serve as a stern cautionary message. If all of that wasn't bizarre enough, here's the full feature set. Detailed driving simulation with Pajeka tire model. Car operating requires H-type shifter and clutch. Super difficult hardcore car building puzzle. Walking simulator.
Walking simulator? That's
car stereos with installable subwoofers. Camera to take photographs.
There you go.
Part shop for spare parts and tuning parts. Does have graphics of some sort. Complete car build up from spark plug to full body tuning. Permadeath, drivable tractor, physics, but anyway. Weird game. This is the internet, everybody. I'm not going to read this. I'm going to read this. This is a dumb story. One of Japan's strangest burgers ever made. Fast food chain Loteria, no stranger to peculiar burgers, is rolling out a shrimpless burger. What is that, you might ask? In short, it's a shrimp burger minus the fried shrimp patty. So you get a bun, some lettuce, tartar sauce, and that's it. Literally, the shrimpless burger. And if you look at the picture here, Jason, that's all it is.
That's so dumb.
Tartars. And what the person who wrote the article literally says, I don't know if we can consider this an actual burger. It's two pieces, two buns, lettuce and tartar sauce in between.
The shrimp burger I wouldn't consider a burger. It's a shrimp sandwich.
Well, these guys were famous for making the ramen burger, which is a ramen patty in between a burger. We're Japan. You never cease to amaze us. And also have Star Wars. I'm not even going to read this. This looks interestingly cool, but
very cool.
Weird Japan stuff. Okay, here's an interesting article which I didn't expect to show up on Kotaku. The Honorary Badger Brigade, a group of men and women sympathetic to men's rights activism and called itself a collective in favor of artistic expression, had its booth removed from the ongoing Calgari Expo today for reportedly disrupting panels associated with Gamergate. Calgari Expo is one of Canada's most popular geek conventions, and like most events that allowed folks associated with the geek culture, artists, developers, etc., to register as exhibitors to show and sell their wares on the show floor. The Honey Badger Brigade signed up to be an exhibitor. Gamergate, a polarizing movement more associated with harassment than its ostensible desires to change ethics in video game journalism. That is BS, because we know exactly which side you are on, because you're on the side that had questionable video game journalism. So don't give me that crap, Kotaku, and be this is more about harassing people. It's not about harassing people. It's about people getting upset for your basically BS journalistic practice. So don't give me that nonsense. Anyway, as an amorphous anonymous movement, Gamergate's specific goals are by nature impossible to define. No, they're not. They're pissed off about your actions. But one thing is undeniable, it's caused a lot of pain to a lot of people. That is not undeniable. Look, random pieces of crap online sending death threats is not really, quote-unquote, a lot of pain to a lot of people. If you take stuff that is said online personable, then you know what? You need to question how you view the internet. I look forward to the day where we get lots of fans and, repeated hate mail.
Exactly.
I don't care if people are like, I'm going to murder you and your parents in their sleep. I'm like, all right, well, I'll see you then.
Stop by my room first.
Yeah, I'll be here. But apparently several tweets from that morning suggested one of the exhibitors were proudly demonstrating banners and shirts for Gamergate. It was quietly revealed that this was Honey Badger Brigade. The Honey Badger Brigade raised more than $9,000 to fund this effort as part of the Feed the Badger campaign. While laden with sarcasm, a desire to attend Calgari Expo to promote the viewpoint was clear. Apparently, they just got upset and removed them because they didn't like them there. That's just stupid, though. If they're willing to have pro-Gamergate, whatever, the anti-Gamergate stuff there,
right,
they should be willing to have the pro-Gamergate stuff there.
Well,
it's just it's because they support the one thing, because it's easy to say you misogynistic pigs who are upset about stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to, we have legit concerns about the ethics going on in the gaming journalism culture,
right,
no, you're basically just a misogynistic pig. This is stupid. Moving on. A recent multi-year study of German gamers might cast doubt on the idea that sexist content in video games can affect sexist attitudes in gamers. But the researchers behind the study caution that their findings shouldn't be oversimplified. There are often discrepancies between what a study actually found and how people... This is because they got results that they didn't want.
Yeah.
Let's see. Study compared gamers and non-gamers' response to a trio of questions about women's place in society over the course of 2 years. We found that the amount of overall video game use at time, one, was not predictive of sexist attitudes / beliefs about gender roles at the time, 2 years later. And that sexist beliefs about gender roles at time 1 were equally not predictive of video games use at time 2, for example, German players age 14 and older. Okay, so the whole paradigm of video games might promote, hey, Mario saves the princess, doesn't mean that kids walk away thinking that women are weak and need to be saved. That's the stupidest study.
Oh, boy.
And then they're cautioned, they still have to pull back and be like, but, it might not. No, clearly you did this study. You did not get the results that pandered to your political correctness.
Yeah.
Freaking A.
See, that's what always gets me about the research crap that goes on, is that they do this thing and they're trying to prove something, but when they don't, they're like downplaying it. It's like, no, you're a researcher. You're supposed to be looking for the result. You don't care what it is going in.
No, they don't.
But they obviously do.
They do.
Yep.
The Department of Justice is likely to oppose the Comcast TWC merger. This is unsurprising. The $45.2 billion merger. Let's see. Phil Harrison is no longer with Microsoft. Of course he's not. Following a successful tenure at corporate vice president at Xbox Europe, Phil Harrison also has chosen to pursue business interests outside of Microsoft. Blah, 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 blah. And ultimately, it sounds like Harrison's exit from Microsoft is an amicable one. He was meant to leave eventually anyway.
Yeah.
Apparently, prison won't let the Piratebay co-founder play Nintendo games. I don't know why this is a crisis, but I think it's funny that they literally just won't let him play Nintendo games while he's in prison. Moving on, we have Apparently there's been a bug in Dark Souls 2 that From Software hasn't fixed for a year. And they finally started working on the bug to fix it.
Wait. So they've known about it since they were developing it, and they just haven't done anything about it?
Yeah, it's some sort of bug with durability on the weapons.
Huh.
Video game sales have fallen 6% in March, which is significant. Console sales fell an estimated 21% in March, according to new data from retail research firm NPD. Overall video game sales were down around 6%. This is a lull period, though. We just got out of spending huge amounts of money during Christmas. I'm not surprised that video game sales are down.
I mean, like, think about it. What happens in March? St. Patrick's Day. It's not known as a gamer holiday.
People just spent hundreds of dollars on Christmas. Why in the world would they be spending huge amounts to keep up sales during March? It's stupid.
Yeah.
Wait till summer, we'll see if people have more disposable income and stuff levels off a little bit.
After they recover from Christmas. The Christmas binge.
Yeah, essentially. Kim.com faces deportation from New Zealand over a speeding ticket. Kim.com, the founder of file-sharing site Mega Upload, can't seem to catch a break lately, according to this torrent freak report. .com faces deportation from New Zealand because he didn't disclose a speeding ticket. That's right. While the U.S. Justice Department has had a hard time extraditing .com to the States to face a number of charges related to alleged piracy and copyright infringement activities, it looks like a clerical error on .com's part might undo his citizenship in the country. That they'll deport him over the speeding ticket.
So dumb.
You know, Colorado,
that's how they took down, what's his name? Big mobster in the, 20s. Capone. That's how they took down Capone. It was from a tax.
Yeah, it was tax evasion.
Yeah.
They actually got a hold of his accountant, who had all the records, and they're like, "You haven't paid your taxes. We're going to put you in prison and then just kind of keep you there for the rest of your life." Because they couldn't pin anything else on him. Because nobody would testify.
Nobody could touch him. But then they get him for tax evasion, and suddenly they take him down. It's so funny.
I thought it was great. Colorado Department of Transportation has found a novel way to remind purchasers of legal marijuana at dispensaries through the state that it's still illegal to drive while under the influence. Denver Department of Transportation is putting sponsored arcade video game cabinets in dispensaries with the title Endgame. This is the worst. They're literally spending money on making arcade cabinets to put in dispensaries to be like, don't drive and be high. Watch, now the new thing is not drunken driving, but high driving.
High driving.
And people are just going to be hitting each other because they're like, I can't find my chips, and I'm kind of blazed right now. Stupid freaking. I wouldn't move to Colorado because of the legalization of marijuana. That would be, if I had a choice between one job somewhere and another job somewhere else outside of Colorado, I'd probably factor in the fact that Colorado sucks.
They have the Broncos. I mean, that...
Terrible. I've been to Denver. That's a hole in the ground. I said that to this. I said that because I mentioned I had been to Denver. I was at this friend's house, and his wife's kind of one of those pretentious people who's really into her food. She's like a foodie, and she's really into restaurants and she's the whole culture.
They have all this in Denver.
Yeah, and I was like, oh yeah, I've been to Denver. She's like, oh, did you go to these restaurants? I was like, no, the place is a hole in the ground. And she did not seem happy with me. Like, she's really into the culture and stuff, and she seemed a little pissed that I was making fun of.
You didn't like Denver.
Yeah. I was like, no.
It's not like you didn't like Seattle. Seattle has a whole different slew of problems, but...
I've never been to Seattle. I liked Phoenix. And Phoenix is like the slightly less dangerous Los Angeles.
Swimming pool capital of the country.
Yeah. Well, I lived in Phoenix for 12 years, but Phoenix... If you ever go to Los Angeles, Phoenix is exactly like Los Angeles. A little bit nicer, still palm trees and no beach. I'm telling you, it's just the same flippin' thing. University of Missouri researchers find that violent video games do not cause aggression in adults with autism spectrum disorder. The University of Missouri study may be the beginning of disproving the idea that people with autism spectrum disorders who play violent video games are more likely to commit acts of real-world violence. This assertion gained some traction in the media after December 2012 mass shooting in Newtown, Connecticut. In the aftermath of December 2012 shooting at the Sandy Hook Elementary School in Newtown, Connecticut, the national media focused on shooter Adam Lanza's emotional issues related to suffering from autism and his exposure to violent video games.
I didn't realize he was an autistic.
Neither did I.
He must have been marginally
autistic
or not at all.
Everybody wants to find something to blame.
Well, yeah.
This is how our country works. This is how the world works in general. You're either it's got to be video games.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be the autism. It's got to be poverty. It's got to be his parents.
Right.
It's got to be all number of factors. It's got to be anything that happens, except for the fact that maybe he was a piece of crap. Maybe he was just a bad person.
Maybe.
I don't care if you want to look for possible causes, but in the end, somebody makes a conscious, independent, free will decision to murder people. And that, above all else, is the biggest factor when it comes to people being killed. I kid you not, this is going to get really political, but I have to freaking say this. The Obama administration got a lot of crap because of this prevailing theory. Remember the prevailing theory in with terrorism?
Uh-huh.
Because a lot of sociologists believe that poverty is an indicator of violent crimes, and if people, because they're poor, they feel that they have to resort to violence. These sorts of things, and they brought it up during the Iraq War as causes for why certain terrorism started to exist when we went to Afghanistan and stuff. And immediately people came out as, that's the stupidest idea I've ever heard of. It's like, you do realize that most of practically all of the high-ranking people in Al Qaeda are not only ridiculously wealthy, but extremely intelligent. Osama bin Laden graduated with an engineering degree.
Right.
He's a really freaking smart guy. Recently,
very wealthy guy to boot.
Recently, a spokesman for the State Department came out on national television and said that we need to be worried less about bombing ISIS and do things in a more positive way, like creating, I kid you not, jobs programs. And it's like universally the country sat, anybody who heard that sat there was like, what?
Why is that going to help?
We're going to fix the ISIS problem with a jobs program in the Middle East? Really? You don't think this is perhaps
ideological?
Ideological?
Nothing to do with
perhaps
poverty?
Theological issue? Perhaps many other factors besides they're just poor? Maybe they just think that they have to kill people that are a different religion? The Nazis had all of the money and they still murdered a lot of people. Why in the world
so they could get all the money?
Yeah, so they could get all of the money. But they were in charge.
Uh-huh.
They weren't poor, and yet they killed a lot of Jews. So clearly this wasn't really that big a factor.
Right.
The dumbest thing I've ever heard. Everybody has to find something to blame. Maybe these people just suck. And maybe the guy who shot all those kids at the elementary school is just a bad person.
Maybe.
Could that just be a possibility?
You know, they do have people who are sociopaths and psychopaths, and that just means there's something wrong with their brain, and it has nothing to do with the fact that they may have played a violent
What if
video
it's
game.
not that there's something wrong with their brains? Jason, think about a conscious thinking human being. You and me right now. You could pick up a gun and just shoot me.
Yes, I could.
Now, that's not necessarily because you have something wrong in your head.
No.
You have the free will to just decide to do it.
Right. I agree with you. What I was just saying is that people who are psychopaths and sociopaths, they don't have those internal filters that we all use. Could be this kid had those. I don't know. It could be that this kid, of his own free will, went out and decided to murder people. I don't know.
He did. There might have been factors to encourage that attitude.
Yeah, there might have been.
Might have been, but he still made the conscious decision.
He still decided, yes. I agree. He did decide to do that.
But
it wasn't because he was playing a violent video game that he decided to go and do that.
Right. I mean, I could stab you. I could stab you right now. Why don't I do it? Because I don't think I should stab people. I mean, but there's nothing preventing me,
right,
really, from just doing it besides the actual free will decision of I don't want to stab you.
Right.
That's it. Sometimes people just decide they want to do crappy things to each other.
Yep.
I saw this documentary on Netflix about children murderers. Children who have actually killed people.
Right.
Underage people who have actually killed people. And these two kids in high school just decided they wanted to kill somebody. And they did it, and afterwards they freaked out, and they went to prison for it, and one kid went through this whole drama thing of coming to terms with what he had done. And the other kid spent all this time denying that he had ever done it. But they know that they simply made the decision to do it. And they had video of them sitting there discussing it. Like, well, we'll just kill her. And then they didn't understand the implications until afterwards, but they made the decision.
Right. And that's one of the things that gets people. It's like, they talk about their ability to choose and stuff, and it's like, yeah, you have the ability to choose, and you chose to do something stupid, and here are the consequences.
The only thing that could be the major factor is your ability to choose might be clouded by your sort of intelligence or information in order to weigh said consequences.
Your ability to see the consequences and understand what. Yeah.
Anyway,
but you still made the decision, regardless. You still made the decision.
Moving on, Netflix apologized to shareholders because apparently Australia has a data cap deal. Last month, Netflix was laying out the groundwork to launch its service in Australia and New Zealand in April. To prepare for it, it struck a major deal with the Australian ISP, iNet, that made it so that the subscribers who use the streaming service wouldn't have it count against their broadband data caps. This immediately drew the attention of net neutrality proponents in the U.S. First of all, net neutrality only affects America. Only.
Exactly.
So screw any of the pissiness that you're getting out about.
You shouldn't apologize. You should just say, screw you.
They're trying to help their customers. Because there are data caps, and they're like, well, we went out of our way to strike a deal with this ISP to make it so that we could actually have no data caps because we need to be able to stream. Nobody would get Netflix if there were data caps. And then everybody in the U.S. is like,
and
it only affects the U.S.
turn around and say, get rid of data, get rid of the net neutrality, and we'll talk about it.
But this is only... Net neutrality has nothing to do with the rest of the world.
No.
Nothing. 2K Australia has closed and fired its entire staff.
Wow.
Yeah. Costs were the reason the studio shuttered, according to sources. 2K Games confirmed the closure with the publication noting it's working with the affected staff to explore reassignment opportunities. The studio's most recent work was Borderlands, the pre-sequel.
Yeah.
Apparently it wasn't enough to keep them open.
Evidently not.
All of 2K Australia has been laid off. That's unfortunate. And if any of you get to listen to this podcast, or I reach any of you, sympathies.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Borderlands the pre-sequel.
Yeah, when they made, remember, that detective game with the real facial animations. I have it.
Rain. Well,
no,
not that one.
No, the detective.
Oh, right. The L.A.
Noire.
L.A. Noire.
Really good game.
Really good game. Yeah.
After they made it, the studio ended up shutting down because it just wasn't enough. The guys
who made it was a Rockstar, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like Australia based, and they shut down the whole. Sort of indie developer Murder Soul Suspect made a really new, interesting game. They shut down their studio after they made the game. Sometimes it's not enough to keep them open, and if they're not like a huge, massive like Call of Duty seller, it just doesn't.
Right.
It doesn't keep people out. Apparently, there's the first gay character in Mortal Kombat's been revealed. Kung Jin, a Shaolin monk fighting for the Earth Realm. Who cares? Why does the Mortal Kombat's character's sexual preference mean anything? When I'm tearing off his arm, I'm not thinking, well, I'm doing this to a gay man.
Or if you're playing the character, you're like, this is a blow for gay people everywhere. And
it's like, look at that inappropriate thing that gay man's doing to people. his homosexuality would have nothing to do with the character.
Nope.
Now all I can think about when he does horrible, horrible things to other characters, man, gay people are violent. Do you really want that as an attachment to the Mortal Kombat franchise?
But so are heterosexual people, because...
I never questioned Goro's sexual preference.
Neither did I. Maybe he's bi.
I don't know.
Goro's a metrosexual.
He's a metrosexual. Parts his hair and his forearms. He could be bi. He's got 4 different arms. Maybe
and
2 of the
he
arms are gay.
He's all smooth.
Is he smooth?
If I remember right.
There's another character.
But he's a lizard, so he wouldn't have hair anyway.
No, Goro's not a lizard.
I thought he was like a dragon thingy.
No, he's a giant dude with 4 arms. Yeah. He's not a dragon thing. Reptile could be gay, but it doesn't matter. Does it matter? Scorpion goes to hell. I don't even think Scorpion has a sexual preference. I don't think he really is even interested in anything but murdering people and sending them to hell.
Probably not.
Why would it make a difference? This is stupid. This is a PR stunt just so that they can get people to report on it.
Yep.
Despite the fact that, can I just be, because if you're a Buddhist, I'm going to say something that you might not agree with, but it's actually factual. Buddhism doesn't have a concept of sin.
Right.
But they do have something that's considered inappropriate or unlawful, and there are things that they say that you shouldn't do, but sin doesn't exist because,
right,
letting go of attachment and that sort of thing. At any rate, things like infidelity don't mean anything when you let go of attachment, but you shouldn't do it. Things like doing drugs and alcohol shouldn't do it. Being gay is one of those things in the list of inappropriate, along with doing drugs and that sort of thing. But it's not considered a sin because they don't really have a conceptual concept of sin.
Right.
You don't do something that sends you to like a hell or anything.
Right, because there is no such place as hell.
Yeah, it's irrelevant. It's just an act.
You're just trying to escape this.
So it's weird that this is specifically a Shaolin monk, because Shaolin monks are non-sexual to begin with.
Right.
Anyway, they actually let go of sexual desires. That's what they're supposed to do anyway.
Right.
GameStop is accepting older games. We talked about this. Blah, 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 blah. We probably run out of time. EA is shutting down Battlefield Heroes and 3 other free-to-play games. A 37-year-old Winnipeg man was arrested and charged with allegedly raping a girl from Singapore who he befriended in an unnamed MMO. 37-year-old Manitoba resident James Brian Stevenson met the 16-year-old victim in an online game and befriended her at the start of 2012. The two became close friends and eventually even got married in the unnamed virtual world. The two became close enough that Stevenson eventually convinced her to come to Canada. In April of 2014, the victim, who had recently turned 18 years old, traveled to Winnipeg with her 49-year-old mother to meet Stevenson. According to reports, it was during this visit that the two took part in a ceremonial celebration of marriage that was captured on video. After the visit, the teen and her mother returned to Singapore so she could finish her schooling. Both returned to Winnipeg in July 2014 and began living with Stevenson at his East Kildonan condominium. It was at this point that Winnipeg police alleged that the 37-year-old began sexually abusing the girl on multiple occasions. I guarantee you they'll attach it to something like video games or detachment, blah, blah, blah. People suck whether or not it has anything to do with video games. It's unfortunate, the situation. It looks like he was opening stuff. I don't know. The whole thing's creepy. I don't actually want to comment on it. Do you want to go down that slippery slope?
No, it seems kind of questionable to me.
Anyway, a Twitch streamer has found himself embroiled in controversy after a file that viewers noted as a child pornography popped up on his computer during a live stream. The Denmark-based Twitch user Soren Random Rambo Jensen makes his living streaming on Twitch, playing such games as Counter-Strike Global Offensive, Dota 2, and Path of the Exiles. Currently about 82,000 followers on Twitch, with his videos being viewed 2,447,000 times. Anyway, apparently, blah, blah, blah. He's gotten a lot of attention. I don't know if there's going to be legal action, but yeah, if you've got it on your computer, don't be surprised if somebody accidentally sees a file with it.
Yeah.
Bloodborne has sold over 1 million copies, and apparently because they sold over 1 million copies, they're giving people free DLC. It's not even that big a deal. It's like a little cosmetic thing for the messengers. But congratulations for selling over 1 million. New Jersey lawmaker seeking tougher penalties for swatting gets targeted over the weekend. New Jersey Assemblyman Paul Moriarty, what a name, claims he was recently the victim of a swatting attempt. The name might sound familiar to game politics readers. Assemblyman Moriarty is the New Jersey lawmaker who has been pushing a bill since October of last year in the state that would stifle punishment for swatting. This is clearly going to change his mind.
Yeah. This is going to make him increase the penalty, people.
Yeah.
Smart. He's going to say...
And I guarantee you they will come after you for this.
I wanted 10 years in prison. Now it's going to be 20, people.
I guarantee you whoever did that, they will try and chase you down.
Oh, yeah, they will.
I don't care. We don't have time to go into the Bill Paxton is apparently set to play Jack Thompson in a BBC Grand Theft Auto film. Honestly, I like Bill Paxton, so hopefully he does a good job.
Yeah.
Gamers generally frown upon the game purchasable enhancements to games that give a person an advantage over other players. One such buyable enhancement for Mortal Kombat 10 is getting some ink. Easy fatalities. Today, through developer NetherRealm, never hid the fact that it would be offering the DLC. It has said in the past that it was adding easy fatalities because some players found that pulling them off in the normal fashion was too difficult. This is kind of stupid because the fatality was the reward for being able to pull off the combination. But whatever, it's their game, screw them. I'm not buying it. And if kids want to get upset, then fine, but you don't have to buy the DLC. Getting pissy that other people can pull off fatalities easily is whatever.
Yep.
Popular online gambling sites have been taken down by DDoS attacks. I don't know why. I'm not going to read it. Man ruptures a tendon in his hand playing Candy Crush Saga. That's right, a tendon in his hand. 29-year-old, too, so he's played a lot of Candy Crush to rupture a tendon in his hand. Apple sees brisk pre-orders on Apple Watch. YouTube sensation PewDiePie, or DouchiePie as we like to call him, is getting his own mobile game.
Ugh.
Yeah. Apparently, Victoria government announces that it's funding 4 game projects. This is Victoria government in Australia. Why they're funding game projects, I can't understand. Video games may provide elderly patients in nursing homes with mental stimulation and some physical benefits, but those gains don't occur without extensive support from caregivers, according to new research coming out from Canada. The research is the result of a study conducted by the University of Lincoln researchers Catherine Gerling. Took place over a 3-month period of time. Study focused on 16 residents using games in group setting. Researchers found that while independent older residents found games to be appealing and empowering experience, it also exposed others to suffer from age-related impairments to danger. What? Researchers also noted that the benefits of gaming were often dependent on the level of support residents needed in order to play, and the level of comfort in getting the assistance. Games could be an amazing opportunity, blah, 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 but they aren't. Yeah. Anyway, weird research. Xbox One gets a price cut in the UK. Apparently there's a flash sale on PlayStation Network this weekend. That should be it. There's probably other stories we could talk about. A few things we need to get off our chest before we finally get out of here. Jason, reaction to the Star Wars trailer.
Like I said, I could feel my heart beating faster while I was watching it. I'm really looking forward to it. As I said when you were asking about the movies, I'm really looking forward to Star Wars. I really hope it kind of redeems the series from the prequels, and yeah, it was impressive. Gave us a much
more.
closer, and yeah.
But to be fair, this isn't a full-blown trailer. This is teaser 2.
Yeah, we still don't know a lot of the story. A lot of it, anything that's online right now is speculation.
Yeah, but I think that a lot of the speculation's playing out as to what's
sure.
going on.
I'm sure.
Like
I said, I was speculating that the girl in the trailers is somehow related to Luke because of the way they introduced it.
That would make sense.
But like I said, that's still just speculation. But it's looking promising.
Maybe it's a Leia Han child.
Maybe.
That's why Han's on Tatooine trying to pick her up or something. Anyway, it looks like it could be good. Exciting to see Han Solo once again in the outfit. Millennium Falcon flying around. I'm not super nerding out just yet over the thing. I need to see a full trailer. I'm still hesitant. I've been burned before.
Yeah.
Batman vs. Superman.
I don't care.
Any reaction to the trailer?
Looks good. It looks like they've been doing a really good job on stuff.
They're doing something weird, like people are getting obsessed with Superman.
Yeah, like a cult of Superman.
That's weird.
But at the same time, it's just like, I don't know why they're doing it at this point. This makes sense for
it's because
a
of the Avengers.
Movie.
It's because of the Avengers. They're trying to catch up.
I know, but if they're really insistent on catching up, they should go straight to a Justice League movie.
I think we talked about this before.
We did.
And we made up an idea of they do a Justice League movie, and then they do follow-ups, individual movies afterwards, if they really had to get one out.
Right.
And that you would say, well, you have to introduce all the characters and stuff. You know what I say? No. You just do the big Justice League movie, and it's like they all just sort of come together, and you're like, who are you, and who are you? You don't have to introduce the characters or anything. Then you do a standalone movie for each of the individual members of the Justice League, and it's sort of like a precursor to that movie, and you can do it where it builds up until that when they show up at that scene.
Like at the end, somebody comes up and like Superman shows up or Batman shows up.
But it's like they're all prequels that build right up to that Justice League movie that came before.
Right. Well, no, what I mean is like at the end, they've just gotten done defeating the bad guy, saving the world, whatever. Right at the end, Batman shows up and he's like, we'd like you to... we're interested in you for a project or something like that. Or Superman shows up.
I would build it right up to the moment where they're standing there with everybody else as the Justice League movie begins. Because I don't think...
Like around the table or something in the
because Justice League didn't form like a plan. They all were trying to fix a problem, and they all sort of showed up at the same time or similar times. And that's what they should do. They could just do it backwards.
Oh, that would be perfect. They're like an alien attack or something, something huge, and all the superheroes are right there.
Yeah, a bunch of people just start showing up and helping. Yeah. And then you go and do these sort of prequels after the movie. And like, this is Wonder Woman's story. She's going through all these things. She's from, Greece. Yeah. Whatever. And she shows up, and then it's like, she does her whole thing. She defeats her bad guy, and all of a sudden there's this alien thing. She's like, Mother, I need to care about what's happening to mankind. And then she goes to go help. And then the end of her movie is right when she shows up in the Justice League movie.
Exactly.
And you could do all of those.
It would be a perfect intro.
You could have your counter to the Avengers. And you can do all of those movies afterwards instead of having to have like a decade of trying to build up to. It would work perfectly. What was the other trailer that came out recently? Ant-Man. Reaction?
Looks fun. It could be good.
They hired a comedian to play Ant-Man. Hopefully there's a bit more comedy to it. It looked like, who is it? Yellow Jacket showed up? Or is it Hornet or whatever his name is?
It is Yellow Jacket in the comic books, and that could be who we're seeing, but it's not Hank Pym Yellow Jacket. It's somebody else.
Well, the bad guy is what I'm saying. Yeah. Anyway, the bad guy shows up. Having them fight and stuff is really cool, especially if you're really into Ant-Man. But Ant-Man was always kind of a piece of crap, especially the Hank Pym version. I don't know a lot about the newer guy.
This is the Scott Lang version of Ant-Man.
I was always more interested in Giant Man.
Yeah.
So we'll see where he goes. There seems to be a little bit of comedy involved with everything else. So it could be decent. They hired some big name people to do it.
The whole train wreck scene, that was awesome.
So yeah, we'll see where that goes. But we'll have to wait and see. It could be bad. It could
be
just
terrible.
be sort of it could be like another Daredevil.
Yeah.
Where it's like it's like you struggle to find good things about it, but in the end you have to admit it's sort of like mediocre at best. But other than that, that's pretty much it. Anything you want to leave them with, Jason?
Go out and read a book sometimes.
Yeah, do that. Especially coming from these gamer groups. Me and Jason definitely are going to start putting up some stuff on YouTube here as soon as we can. So look forward to that, if you care.
Even if you don't.
We're sneaking up on episode 100. Me and Jason need to get together and figure out what we're going to do special for the episode.
Well, we only have one fight left in the tournament, and we can finish that up in part B.
We can start our new bracket on 100, just give ourselves a break in between it. But we'll try and do something special. We got to build the hype for the second person that'll be joining us listening.
Yep.
But appreciate you guys. What is it? Hashtag Rhett don't pee on my parade or whatever?
Let's see. It was...
Or is it hashtag...
Hashtag do not pee on my parade, Rhett.
Okay. Hashtag do not pee on my parade, Rhett. Let's get that trending. We'll see you guys later. Jason?
Later.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Distracted Gamers podcast. If you like the show, follow Rhett and Jason, the world's two most lethally stupid internet personalities, on Twitter at DG Podcast, or check them out at www.thedistractedgamers.com. If you loved or hated what you've heard here, email them at thedistractedgamers.blogspot.com and share your feelings. Not that Jason will care, since he hasn't any, of course.